What's up, everybody? How's it going? Greetings to all of you. Thank you for joining the live. Good to see all of you guys. I hope you are doing as well as you can. We're going to give people a minute or two to join us and have this amazing conversation. So far, I just want to shout out to every single one of you who are joining this live. For those of you who don't know me, we'll get to that in a minute. For those of you who wonder why we're here, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's just give our people who are a tad bit late to join us, a moment to join us, and so we can have this amazing conversation. Once again, if you just joined us, it's 6 o'clock. Hey, Christina. We're going to start on time, right? But we're going to give our people that are a little bit late about 1 minute to join us. I'm going to set things up right here. Hope you guys can see me. And Be Tall is in the building. We got a lot of beautiful people. So why don't we take a moment to shout out everybody that's in here. If you're in here, click that like button and say hello. Wave to your neighbor, whoever they are, and say hello. We have Evelyn Marsh Studio in here. We got my boy Big Beard and Gold Chains, who's going to be a guest. Hey, Abibat, you here? Good to see you. Angela, so good to see you. Egle, you're in here. Coolnutz is in here. Man, we have a lot of great people in here. So, without Christina is in here. I see you. I mean, there's so many great people in here. So, what we're going to do today is I'll first want to thank FashionNXT for lending us this platform so we can talk about some important things. Today, the focus of the conversation is to give people the various faces, the diversity in the faces of the Black experience in America, because those faces are diverse and everybody is experiencing things right now in such a different way. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm shaking right now because this is something that is affecting every single one of us. So first and foremost, my deepest condolences to the family of George Floyd and all the families that have been affected for a very long time. I mean, honestly, hundreds of years, right? But my deepest condolences to the family of George Floyd, and I know all of you guys that I hear share this sentiment. So we're here today. So we're going to talk about, once again, the diverse faces of the Black experience. What is the Black experience in America? Let me start by introducing myself, guys. My name is Issa, and I'm a recording artist, fashion designer, songwriter, just a creative person overall. And I've been in Portland since 2003. So it's been about 18 years, right? And so I'm from Africa originally. So my Black experience is the same, but it's also different from the next person that was born in America. And so I came to America. A lot of things that attracted me to America was the fact that you can be anything here, right? Like you can dream it, you can become it. That's the dream that the rest of the world sees. But I think it's also important to show you and tell you what kind of got me here and what got me feeling shaken today. So what got me here is I came here to come to school. English wasn't my first language. French is my first language. And to be quite honest, I grew up around a lot of diverse people, being from where I'm from in West Africa. So moving to the whitest city in America, or one of the whitest cities in America, Portland, Oregon, was quite a culture shock, right? Like for most people. But at the same time, I was never one to feel oppressed where I grew up or anything. And so my experience again is a little bit different, and that's why we're going to have some guests today to share different kinds of experience. We're going to have the COO of SEI, Libra Forde, in just a moment. Amazing friend and such a great leader, like an amazing woman, right? We're going to have Coolnutz, a pioneer of Portland hip-hop, and share his views. We're going to have an incredibly respected designer, Christopher Bevans, incredible, and share his experience. We're going to have also recording artist Theo up here. We're going to have Zito up here to share some of his experience. We're going to have the Black Mannequin up here. I mean, we're going to talk. So I'm going to try to get through that. But to get back to what brought me here, what makes me very, very shaken about this current situation is that, okay, you come here, and I never saw myself other than a person, right? I'm from Africa, but I never saw myself other than a person here in America. But, you know, recently I was actually doing just a regular run to Costco, and I started to feel uneasy. I started to feel like, okay, how do people actually see me? How do people actually perceive me when they see me? Am I this threat that they think I am just based on my race? Are they scared of me? Do they feel some type of way about the fact that I'm black? And I can honestly say that I almost never felt that way before until now. So imagine people that have been feeling this way for a long time, right? What brings me to Portland, though, just to kind of give you a little bit more background, is that, you know, my journey as a musician, I just always saw the United States as a place where you can really develop your skills, your talent, and where people accept you. And for the most part, that's been true. The community here has, you know, welcomed me. FashionNXT has, you know, helped me with my shoe that I recently released last year. You know, we have a community that really supports. And but you know, there's always more that can be done. But for me, my role here in Portland, as somebody of African descent, is to make sure that I bring my values as well, because that's what makes America special, right? It's about bringing something to the table. It's about bringing your culture to the table and have everybody else accept that culture, because that's what makes America great. I think is everybody coming together. Hasn't been an easy journey, but again, it's for the most part has been something where I had never seen myself as somebody other than being just a person that is talented and wants to succeed and love everybody. But recently, after everything that's been going on, trust me, it's first of all, there's a pandemic going on, and then we just, you know, feeling like I go to the store and like having to watch my back is not something that I think anybody wants to feel. So without any further ado, I kind of want to start to get other people's point of view, and we'll continue to share mine and others. And the first person I do want to invite here is my good friend, Libra Forde. Libra is an incredible woman, and she is somebody that when she speaks, like you just want to listen to what she has to say. She's just incredible. So Libra, I'm going to invite, and so we can have your perspective. Hey, Libra.
Hey. So that introduction makes it racking for me. It's a lot to live up to.
No, the cool thing, what I love about you is that there's nothing you cannot live up to. You know, you're an incredible, you know, Black woman, a mother. You're one of the leaders in this community, and so I just wanted to have you up here and just kind of share your perspective on how, you know, as a mother, you know, as a leader in our community, how have the recent events really affected you? So I kind of want to give you the floor for that.
Yeah. So hi everybody, and I'm super excited to be here. So thank you for even thinking of me as a person to offer some context in this very complicated world we live in. So first I want to touch on something that you were saying in terms of you coming from Africa and the world that you entered and the differences, right? And I think America has mastered the concept of othering. And othering is really where you create these secluded sections where people feel other or less than normal, or less effective because they don't align with the systems that say they should be a different way. And othering in America is really one of our major issues. And really, when people immigrate to America, they don't feel that because other places are very they're the same all around, and so this it's not something that they feel where they come from. And America masters it, and they're just blown away by it. So I'm sorry that that's been your experience, but I unfortunately I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And from my perspective, in terms of the time that we're in, it's really about youth for me, because that's who I fight for. Because for me, youth are our hope. They give us hope, right? Like there's a quote that says, when a child is born, you know that life will go on.
Mm-hmm.
That's just another life that's going to have more time to do more things. And children really have a light about them. They're fearless. And they have this, like, they have no inhibitions. As you get older, you have more fear, you have inhibitions. And so things, you start to question your walk and how you do it and what. They don't have that. And so for me, I love to support them because they have the energy to really push us forward. Now, for me, youth have the energy, but maturity is where you get the guidance. And so that's why adults can't just let go of youth. We have to stay with them. But I think it's important that we let them lead. Oftentimes we want to get in front of them, but they know more and they understand a little bit more than we do. And because they're fearless, they got this. And one thing that our founder and CEO at SEI always says is we don't have a kid problem in America. We have an adult problem. I mean, adults are the issue. We create these complications that youth look at us and like, why y'all making this so complicated? It's not that deep. Mm-hmm. So that's my perspective on it. I think we need to get behind youth and let them lead this.
I agree. And I appreciate so much the fact that we have a place like SEI, which is, what is it, the second biggest nonprofit organization that has a focus on, or minority, right?
On Black, yeah.
Black kids. And so for anybody that's not familiar, this is a place where I recently, and I wish I was aware earlier, right? I recently gotten more aware of what SEI does and who you guys are, what you do, and it's been an incredible thing to know that you can affect change, right? We can really change things by being a mentor to the next generation, because the kids are our future. And so how do you think people who are on this live and people who will listen to this, what can we do to really make a change, to really help the kids, the youth, and to inspire them? Like, what can be done, in your opinion?
Well, the first thing is get out their way. I think we often want to tell kids what to do, and from the purest place in their hearts, they know the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to get out the way, and not in a way that we don't want them to fall and have a hard fall, but we want them to be able to lead fearlessly, because in fearless leadership, you find solutions that when you're in fear, you can't see. Mm-hmm. Youth can do that. And with our maturity, we can help guide them on how to make those systems really work. But in their fearlessness, we can get a vision that as adults, we no longer can see. Mm-hmm. We got to let them do that. So we got to get out their way.
Right. Absolutely. Now, my last question for you, because I know you're busy. As a COO, the life of a COO is not easy. So I'm not going to take too much of your time. But as a mother, the events of George Floyd and everybody else that has been treated so unfairly, like, how does that ring as a Black mother that has 3 daughters, right? You have 3 daughters, don't you? And how did you feel about that when you saw these events, when you see somebody, standing on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, like, how did you feel? Because everybody's feeling some way, and I'm very curious to see from a mother's perspective, how does that feel? to see this?
Well, I mean, the immediate feeling is outrage. You're angry, and then I'm from Harlem, New York. So the first thing is like, yo, I wanna beat somebody up. Like that's my innate feeling. Now I'm educated, and so I've learned how to curb that a little bit. But at the end of the day, that was my immediate feeling. But when you sit back and start to reflect on the fact that the unfortunate part is I'm not surprised by this. I'm sick of it. I think I'm enraged by it, and I'm exhausted by it. Then when you start to do your education and you study, because that's the other thing we have to do. You have to study the history of Africans and Black in the world, how we exist. When you start to do that education, you start to acknowledge that these visuals are not something we should be spreading. There was a time where people spread visuals of killing us as entertainment. And so then I was outraged with that. And then through all of that, I finally got to a point of, okay, so now what do we do? So I sat my kids down and I said, okay, let's be educated on what we're sharing and how we're sharing it before we just start to get into the narrative that they want us to get into. We should not be sharing the defamation of Black people. That's not something we should be sharing. We also should not be in a situation where we're complacent and we're silent. But you have to find your space and what to do. And so for me, the first thing was checking my kids, making sure they're okay. And once they were okay, coming up with a family plan on what we're going to do to stay healthy, but also use our voice, because we as Black people have a little more privilege than some others, and we need to do something. So we went to a couple of protests, and I was a speaker at one of them, and it was great. My kids needed to see people behind them, and they needed to see how power can come with numbers, and it was really good for them. So that's what we've done.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I respect you so much. You're a mentor to me and to many, many people. So for everybody, just want to thank you again for joining.
Thank you. Much love to you. You guys be safe out there.
All right. Perfect. Cool. So we're going to have the next person here who I want to introduce. Let me see if they're available. Is one of my good friends, Christopher Bevans. Let me see if he's on. Chris, if you're on, send me a request. I would like to get you up here to talk about your experience. So Christopher Bevans is a incredible fashion designer. He is somebody that has worked with some of the biggest names out there. Chris, I'm calling you now. And I just want to get his perspective on how the situation is affecting him, and but also on how maybe racism has been or has affected him throughout his journey as a successful fashion designer. So welcome, Chris. So good to see you.
Good to see you too, brother.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for accepting this invitation. Thanks for joining us. Once again, like, you're one of my mentors. You're somebody that I respect so much. So when I was given this opportunity to speak here, and I was like, hey, I have my perspective, but I think this is an opportunity to share different perspectives and to show the various faces of what being Black in America means. And so you represent a very special segment. And I would love to hear about your perspective. How has, first, I can only imagine your journey, right? Like, I can only imagine your journey being a Black designer in America. Like, what kind of challenges and struggles does that come with being who you are?
Well, I never wanted to ever use anything for an excuse to succeed in what I wanted to do. I would confront, I would educate folks that tried to slow me up by some sort of slick comment, coming up in the garment industry of New York. And I've met all kinds of folks. Some folks, wouldn't let me into their sample room because they didn't think that I knew what I was doing. Even though I was highly prepared for it. And then it was trying to navigate corporate fashion design. And I always aspired to land in the best fashion house that I could with my talent. And I would storm up into any interview that I can, that I would get a reply. And trust me, I got many, many no's, but and just some folks didn't think that, that a young Black designer couldn't design on the caliber and on the level of higher fashion. And I got that often. Like, it's a very elite crowd at the top of the fashion industry, sadly. And I worked the fashion tents at Bryant Park through the 90s. And as a dresser backstage, I made a point to learn everything about the industry that I could, ground level up. And I wanted to sit at the big table in a fashion house that respected my talent and where I could open the door for more. And it was it was 2000. I was working at Mood Fabric in Manhattan. It's on 39th Street. And a young sister came in there to buy some fabric, and she was impressed with my knowledge, and she said, "You got to come meet my boss." And I was like, "Who's your boss?" And she was like, it's Puff Daddy. It's Diddy. And I was like, absolutely. Like, that was a dream. And I was kind of, I was a bit disheartened because I was trying to get into like John Varvatos and, places like that, but they weren't taking me serious. But I was qualified. And I went into my interview into Sean John with everything that I had showed in my previous interviews, and I was hired on the spot. And I distinctly remember them saying that Jeff Tweedy, respected Jeff Tweedy, a Black executive in the fashion industry that has given so many brothers an opportunity. He was like, "I've never seen anybody on a level like this before, coming in with ready-made garments and a sewing machine." I had a sewing machine and a travel bag. He said, like, that's how prepared I was. And I made it happen. And Puff opened up the door, and I was like, damn, there's a brother that helped me here. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? Any brother that needs a hand, get lifting up. I don't care if it's fashion, music, whatever. It's what if you're passionate about it, and of course, I'm in the art world. You can count on me to help you some degree if you're serious about your craft.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing your journey, man. Like, with the events that just occurred, like, how did that affect you? Because I know, knowing you personally, I know, you're just such an amazing person. You have a beautiful family. Like, how did that affect you, like, as a human being? And what kind of changes do you think need to happen currently in order for things to really, really, really change, so that things like that don't happen again? I know it's a very big question, but just want to open the floor for anything that you want to share with us today.
Well, my initial reaction with the rest of the world that has a conscience was anger. And I think Libra said it. It's hard, to see George Floyd losing his life that way. It was, man, I really sat there and pondered, like, yo, would I hop out my car, to like jump in the mix, even if it was just to knock a cop off of him, and then do as you may with me, like that's, I really pondered that and because it was just anger and I'm tired. And I'm tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
But then you have to be calm in the eye of a storm to really think your thoughts through, to get organized. I believe it is the youth that is going to lead the charge. And we do have to get out of the way, but we have to rally around them and empower them as well. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she has some, fresh perspectives that I've, me at 47, that I've, I'm a bit hardened in my heart, but I'm still trying to live, and walk. I will always walk in the light. But it's gonna take a deep dive to change the system that was designed to just oppress and contain us. And it's also going to take those positive police officers that are inside, because we're not just going to pull up with a whole new infrastructure for police, right? It's not happening. It's not happening. So it's like, we got to fix their system. We got to fix that system. So it represents us, and we have a seat inside of precincts. We have a connection with community, and I believe that the finance trail is going to also make them think twice about, the violence that they just keep pushing on it. Because I don't know, man. It's like he said, it's hard. It's like, I think, like, can we re-educate people? It's hard. But in this capitalist system, I guarantee you, if we put a clamp on some police, retirement fund, that's $5 billion, and police have 2 houses. How's this homie have a house in Minnesota? He's got a house in Florida that killed George Floyd. Like, let's go after property. Let's go after retirement funds. Like, let's play. Let's get into it, and let's talk the economics of the battle too.
Yeah. Now, well, thank you for sharing your perspective. Once again, man, you're a mentor. I love what you're saying about everything that you said, to be honest with you. But I think one of the things that you said also that was so important is how we all need to help each other. I think that for us as a community, coming together strong, like I can tell, and what you said is absolutely the truth. Like, if you see somebody that, because so many doors are shut on us, like they've been shut on you, it's on every single one of us to look at somebody else that wants to do something. And if you have the means or the knowledge, pass that on. I think that's one of the things that we, as a people, can that's one of the things that we can do. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, and every other points that you made as well. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Us, you know what I mean? Like, you, the belief factor, the belief in ourselves, that's something that we need, and you certainly are a leader in our community. So I thank you for your time. Okay.
Thanks, Luis. Love you, brother. Be well.
Love you, man. Be well. All right. See you later.
Later, man.
So next we're gonna have a good friend of mine, Coolnutz. Coolnutz is, man, who doesn't know Coolnutz? If you're in Portland, if you're a musician in Portland, you can't go without knowing who Coolnutz is. He's a pioneer of Portland HipHop. He's somebody that you can call at all times, and he's gonna give you some great feedback. He's somebody that has been in us in the highest places in music, and one of my mentors as well. So welcome, Coolnutz. Welcome, Terrence. Thanks for joining.
What's up with you, man?
Doing great, man. Thanks for answering the call, first of all.
Oh yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man. I wanted to get you up here because, again, we have this platform, and I think when we talk about today, I wanted to talk about the diverse spaces of the Black experience in America. And for me, I've been here for 18 years. I'm from Africa, so I have my experiences. But in order for this conversation to be as complete as it could be, I mean, we would need millions of people up here. But I wanted to get people from different backgrounds. And for you as a pioneer of music in Portland, I wanted people to kind of get a taste of what it felt like to walk in your shoes from all these years being in Portland, one of the widest cities in America. And what has been your experience, growing up here, evolving here, and just kind of, being who you are? Like, what has made your experience, what has been your experience?
I think for me, man, it's a little different because I came up in Portland when we had the real Northeast Portland.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience is a little bit different in terms of what molded and shaped me in terms of having an actual Black community, having that sense of love, and neighbors and my best friends in the neighborhood were Black. Going to school with a lot of Black kids, being able to come outside and play with other people that related to the same journey and experience. So for me, I feel like I was blessed to get to experience Northeast Portland and have an abundance of like just the culture, everything from Irving Park to MLK to, when it used to be Union Ave to, going to a Black church and different stuff like that. Like, I think one of the biggest things that even like our kids suffer from is not being able to come out the house and have friends in their neighborhood that they can ride their bikes with, that they can play basketball with, and things like that. So I feel like for me, my experience growing up in Northeast Portland is what shaped and molded us and even fueled the music. Was like we had an understanding and a love for for the community and the culture, and it was a lot of things around us that kept us together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. How is that different today?
I feel like the city is so spread out now. Like even for my kids, like my kids can't go out the house and have friends next door that they know. I mean, even that they just know, like they play with, that come stay the night, that when they come out, your neighbors are your best friends. You all go to the same schools. You grow up in the same neighborhood where where your school is, where your neighborhood park is, your library, and all of that. I feel like we don't have that sense of community anymore, in terms of a city where it's natural and it's genuine. And so I feel like the kids don't get to experience that part of growing up and having a group. Like my friends that I went to elementary school with were the same friends I went to high school with. We went to the same neighborhood elementary school, the same neighborhood middle school, the same neighborhood high school. We frequented the same stores. If you went out in the neighborhood and I wasn't playing, like I could not be with some of my friends, but run into a whole nother circle of people that I could click in with them, and we're going to look out for each other. And they might go to a different school, but we had the same love. And I feel like that's what makes it different now with the community. We don't have that same sense of togetherness because everybody's been pushed out to the numbers or Vancouver or, or other places.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as somebody that's been in the music game and been a creative for so long, how do you think or art plays a role in, defining our culture, maybe bringing people together? Like, what can we do in order to, what is our role as creative people, in our communities? Or, what can we do, in your opinion, that maybe we're not doing right now?
I just think finding a better sense of unity within our own community and coming together more, just building more and finding ways to empower ourselves and giving ourselves certain strength and resources that at times we don't have to go outside, or we have certain abilities to make certain calls and shots, like where we're not begging for justice, we can make justice happen because we have that strength and that power and influence. I think part of the problem is that we're in a position where a lot of the times we're always having to ask for justice. We're always having to ask for certain resources and certain things. And I feel like we need to put ourselves in a position where we all come together because we're a powerful people, man. Like, we have a lot of financial resources. We got a lot of culture. We influence and inspire a lot of things in music and everything. And a lot of people take away from that, whether it's fashion, whether it's just art, whether it's style and flair, and, you know, just all of those things. We need to empower ourselves to where we use that power, that influence, and harness it to create. I mean, we have a lot of people that are working to create change right now, but we need more, and we need more, you know, we need more influence. We need more. Like, the thing is even with what happened recently, if we're all together as a people and things like this happen, and we say we're not doing certain things, we're not sharing certain things, we're not agreeing to certain things, we're stopping participating in certain things. Mm-hmm. If we all imagine if everybody's on that same page, mm-hmm. then it'll change. And just like was it Christopher who you just had on? Yeah. Like certain stuff, we're not gonna reinvent no wheel overnight, man. That's, like you said, that's out of here. We're not reinventing the way police structure and law enforcement are, but it needs to be adapted or changed or progressed in certain ways that if we have enough power and influence, we can make the calls on that, where people can't, you know, where people can't say no. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. My last question to you, because I know you're a busy person. I want to get
I'm not that busy. I can talk all night. No,
I appreciate you. So I was curious about your perspective as a father. You know, as a Black father, you have a beautiful son, right? You know, you have, and when you see the killing of George Floyd, like, how does that make you feel as a father? Because I can only imagine, but I'm not in your shoes, so I'm not even going to get there. How does that play in your mind, knowing that you have a kid, and, you know, and that kid is born in this world, right? And
yeah,
how do you think about what his experience is going to be? How can you protect him from experiencing anything that is so traumatic, you know, as a father? Like, how does that, what goes into the mind of a Black father in this moment?
Man, that's the scary thing for me, is because when I have my son and when I look at him, there's nothing else that I see that I love more, that you would swap your life for, that you would die for, kill for, all of that, man. So it's hard for me to even imagine, bro. Like, I can't, like, when I first had my son, that's what scared me, because you kind of understand, like, damn, there's not anything that you really love more than your kids, and that you wouldn't put in front of yourself more than your kids. So to me, that's a dangerous thing, of like being a father and even having to think about anything like that happening to him, because, or any of my kids, you know, I got a 16-year-old daughter, I got my son, but anything like that happening to any of them, I don't know. Man, and I don't understand sometimes how people can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how I feel about mine. I know how I feel if my kids came home and said, this, and this happened, or even hearing that story of this, and this happened. So it's one of those things where I just, you know, I pray that I can educate him. I pray that I can educate my daughter to, you know, to carry themselves in the best way possible, to know when to kind of avoid certain people in certain situations. Because I'm sure you know this, bro. Like, you've been in certain situations where, you know, like, let me get up out of here, or let me get away from this, or because I know where this is going. You know, I know what road this is going down, because growing up Black and being in certain situations and being around people that, you know, don't have the best interest for you or for your welfare, you know how to kind of like, man, let me navigate away from this. But sometimes that's not always the case. You can't always do that. So I just hope that I do all the right things as a father to educate my kids and teach them how to carry themselves, how to be aware and how to be conscious, and how to, like, hang around the right people and steer clear of certain situations, because we in a troubling time right now, bro. Like when you watch somebody can stand or put their knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and lean against the car and know that people are filming, and then you have other police officers around them just watching and not saying, yo, man, you know you can kill this dude. You know, I don't know, and I don't know how I responded to that if that was my kid. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be sitting back quiet. I don't think I might be, man. I really don't even want to talk like that, but I know people die for less, bro. You feel me? People die for less than your kids and your family, than things you love. And sometimes it's disheartening knowing that the lack of value on a human life when people can be killed like dogs, man. That's disheartening, bro.
Yeah. No, it is. Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspective, man. And you're, again, such a huge part of our community. And ever since I moved here, like, I've always looked up to you, and I thank you for teaching me many lessons, and you continue to teach me, you know, more in this moment. So I just wanted to thank you for sharing your perspective.
No, and I appreciate you always showing me love and respect, bro. That means a lot. And continue to do what you're doing, and continue to share your platform, and always support everything I do, because that means a lot. And thank you for having me.
No problem, man. My pleasure.
All right, bro.
All right, perfect.
Yeah,
all right. See you later. Okay, so next, we're going to have a friend of mine, Mike Cage. Mike Cage is a good friend of mine. He's the owner of PDX Hair God. He's a barber. He's a father. And Mike is just a great person that I thought, you know, let's have Mike over here, because the barbershop is a place where we go to talk about stuff as a community. And I haven't been to the barbershop in a minute, Mike, by the way. But I wanted to get Mike up here because I've seen Mike. Mike, welcome, first of all. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Mike, I wanted to get you up here because I thought, you know, getting you here to share your experience is very, very, very key, especially because, you know, I've seen you be a part of the march and being out there, you know, and I want people to know, you know, why it is important to march. Why was it important for you to march, be a part of the protest? What did it feel like? Like, I want to get into the mind of Mike Cage, and so that anybody that has thought twice about being a part of the march, so they can understand why, you know, we're marching as a people.
You know, well, first I want to say what's up, man. I haven't seen you in a long time, so it's kind of good to see you.
Good to see you.
You know, for me, it was really odd, man. I had just got back in town from vacation. On vacation when I saw the video of George Floyd, and it made me feel some type of way while I was on vacation. You know, I mean, we've had these situations before, and I've always like been in the back of my mind, like, you know, you want to march, you don't know how to help, you don't know what to do, and for me, being a black man in America, it's really tough to see that, you know what I mean, like to see like another one of my brothers that this is happening to. So and I also have a son now, you know, like my son is 2 years old, just turned 2, so it kind of made me more emotional about it. I looked at him after it happened. I was just like, man, I don't want him to have to go through this, you know. And so I got back in town, and the first day of marching had already happened. Where in Portland, a lot of the protesters were out really late. I think the Louis Vuitton was broken into that night, and a lot of stuff was just going on, just wild and crazy. And so I was just like, man, I feel their frustration and their anger, you know. So like, what can I do but have a more positive outcome? And so for me was to get out there with the people, feel that energy, feel everybody's pain, and walk with everybody and be able to stand up for what's right. You know, like there's been a lot of times when there's marches going on and I haven't participated because I've made excuses. And this time I just was like, you know, I'm not making excuses. And then with the pandemic going on, as far as the coronavirus as well, you know, everything is shut down. So a lot of people aren't working. So that's why I think you see a lot more people are marching right now.
Right.
But you know, and marching is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's not going to be on the front lines and marching and protesting and doing what they have to do that way. So I feel like it was necessary for me to do that. But I may not be the organizer of an event or be able to donate as much money. So this is me doing my part. I feel like,
Right.
you know, and helping me voice my frustration.
I appreciate that, and that really inspired me, to be honest with you. When you know, I saw you several days, you know, posting, being part of it. Like, what was the vibe when you were in the middle of this march? For people who have never marched before, you know, who may be afraid, who may be scared, what was the true vibe of what it felt like to be in the middle of the march? You know, what did it feel like?
You know, it was you know, when I went down to this one, this is not the first protest I've been a part of, so this is probably the second one I've been a part of. So I kind of knew what to expect, but then at the same time, after watching the news just like everybody else, you kind of get nervous and you don't know if what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to, you know, everybody's kind of scared at first because it looks really intimidating on TV. I mean, you watch it and you just look at all the, they call it rioting and looting and all this stuff going on. But when you actually on the front lines and you're down there, you don't see that type of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see people who are voicing their frustration and they're standing in unity. They're not allowing people to get out of line, to kind of deviate from the cause and what they're there for. They make it very known that we're not this either. You know what I'm saying? We're not tolerating this injustice, and we're not going to tolerate, you know, all these people that's going to try to distract from what we have going on either. So it's really inspiring, actually. You know, you get that many people together for one cause is quite amazing, man. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, like the energy that's there, the community that you feel, the love that you feel, and everybody's just out for, you know, justice for this. It started with justice for this one individual, but it's turned into something way bigger. And it's just amazing to see, because people actually care about humanity.
Right.
And I think that's what people are understanding, that what people really want. We just want people to care about humanity. And, you know, unfortunately, we have to protest and fight, beg for justice and things to be done the right way.
Right.
You know? So it's definitely a good feeling, though, when you're in the middle of it. I suggest everybody at least go one time to kind of feel how it is. And if you go and you see how things are, man, you really get inspired by the movement. It makes you want to do more. It makes you want to get out there and do what's right. And like I said, everybody may not march, but there is a role for everybody to play.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for inspiring us, for sharing your perspective, and, you know, take care of the two beautiful kids you got, you know, and you know, so I can't wait until this whole pandemic, you know, is behind us, so we can finally get together as people, and as, you know, and just hang out, man. So I want to thank you for your time, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it, man. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, perfect. So we got a couple more people, and thank you for everybody that is here so far. Like, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're not done. We have a few more people to that I want to invite. One of them that is on this live is my friend Zito. Zito is an actor. He's a musician. Zito is vocal about, you know, about things and about how he feels about the situation. So I thought it would be great to have another perspective. So I'm going to invite my friend Zito up here. Let me see if he's up here and see how he feels about things. Zito, are you here? Let me call you. Yeah. And if you have any questions, you know, please put them in the comments. You know, I've been driving the conversation, but I want you guys to feel like you're a part of it as well. So if you have any really relevant, respectful questions, please make sure to put them in the comments. Zito, are you up here? Okay, let me invite you one more time, because I just sent you a invite to go live, and There you go, Zito, Big Beard. Hey, what's
What's up,
up,
bro?
fam? Good to see you. Bro. You guys are doing good?
Yeah, chilling, bro.
All right. Hey, it's such a pleasure, man, having you here, Zito. Um, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
You're somebody I truly respect because you never keep your mouth shut when there is injustice going on. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't do, right? And so the reason why I wanted to get you up here to talk about the experience, because I thought, the question that I wanted to have and I wanted to ask you was, like, what do people outside of the Black community, right, outside of being Black or the Black community, what do they need to do? What do you feel like people need to do better in order to have a better understanding of what the situation is? Like, what is your perspective on it as because honestly, you're a member of the community as a whole, but you actually are even more vocal than some of the people that I know that are that are considered, Black or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so so I just wanted to like get
You got Tasha cracking over there.
no, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be politically correct.
I know what you mean, bro. I know what you mean. I think everybody needs to speak up, especially white folks, is because that's where the side of the fence is. There's the biggest misunderstanding of what's going on. There's a huge misunderstanding with that. So I feel like it's powerful if white people speak on behalf of the Black community to other white people and educate them. And that makes a huge difference. I feel like it's super necessary. And, like you said, I don't keep my mouth shut. So, it's effective, bro. So it's necessary too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like when you saw what happened, like what was, like how did it, what was your reaction when you saw like these events? Because I know you're somebody that cares deeply about, people being treated fairly. Like, what was your first reaction?
To be honest, bro, I did not watch the video. I can't. I'm mad as fuck if I'm gonna keep it real already. And I've seen plenty of this violence. I've seen plenty of the videos. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Not watching the video pissed me off enough. I can't watch it. So I've seen pictures and stuff, and that's enough for me. But it's the same stuff over and over. You know what I mean? This is nothing new. This is a consistent problem, and we always react to this problem the same way every single time and don't see a change. Same police officers do the same thing over and over and don't see any consequences. Don't have any accountability for their actions, and I feel like that's a huge reason people are upset is the lack of accountability that these police officers are being held to. And I heard a lot of people that you're talking to earlier talking about change needs to be made and things like that on the level of the system, right? And I have a few things I don't know if people really understand, but we can change it on a local level. Like for an example, Ted Wheeler is going to renew the union contract for the police union here soon. What we should do is direct our energy and our focus to put the pressure on Ted Wheeler to reform the police union, the contracts and the agreements, because that's how we'll see a change. What a lot of people don't understand is the police have this union that protects them, right? Within this union agreement, there's laws and policies all in place that protect these cops from being held accountable for their actions. So if we change these policies and these rules and reform all of it, it's going to fix a lot of these problems. Now, it's not going to get rid of racism. It's not going to get rid of police brutality at all. But if you start holding these police accountable and charging them with murder, if we start, instead of, for an example, when a police brutality case happens and money gets paid to the family, instead of using our tax money to do that, how about we start pulling from the police, retirement? How about we start pulling from their pension to pay out to these families? If we start hitting them with the money, we start attacking the policies that protect these cops. I feel like we'll see a bigger change. Protesting is great. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but I just see it's a perpetual pattern, and it just can't end there. If we're gonna protest, there's got to be more to it. Then what, right? So I feel like if we attack these unions and kind of put the pressure on Ted Wheeler to revise that before he signs it, because if he signs it, it's just going to be the same shit,
right?
Over. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I refuse to sit around and you know, have this die down, and then no one's get mad until it happens again.
Right. Right.
We've seen it time and time again.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely. I think you really hitting on something very insightful there. You're making educated choices, knowing what's going on and figuring out, you know, how to make a move by knowing where that move is actually going to have the biggest impact. So yeah, I appreciate your feedback, man. Thank you so much for being always vocal, you know, because I think one of the biggest thing is if you're not saying something about what's happening, then you become a part of the problem by your inaction, your lack of action. And so voicing your opinion when something is not right is one of the first things that we learn as kids. So we need to do that as adults. And so, yeah, I want to thank you for always being 100 with it. You know what I mean?
Always. Yeah, I got you, bro.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. I have a couple more people I wanted to invite here and try to kind of get their perspective on things. But Zito, the whole fam, you guys are just simply awesome. Yay. What's up, you? All right. So I'll see you guys soon, okay?
All right, bro.
All right, perfect. Cool. So let me see who else we have here. We have a couple more people I wanted to get their opinion on things. Let me invite over, we got Theo up here. Theo is a recording artist from Trinidad and Tobago. I thought, you know, having a few perspectives was important, you know, like just because you're Black doesn't mean that you're the only one affected. I wanted to get Zito up here, you know, as a Caucasian and show his perspective on things. I wanted to get a pioneer of hip hop up here. I wanted to get a respected designer up here. I'm from Africa, but I've been here for 18 years. I have my perspective. And Theo is from Trinidad. And Theo, how you doing?
I'm fine.
All right. Thanks for joining, man. The reason why I wanted to invite you is also I saw a few pictures. You were a part of the protests. And so why was it important for you to go out there and protest?
Coming from Trinidad and Tobago, we face enough discrimination down here. You know, come up here to America, you face it even more, you know. So the times have definitely changed from when I first came up to America in 2001. You know? There was always police brutality, but as was recently said, it was never on this public scale. You know, like I just had to go there just to feel the energy, to be a part of this movement, to show that I stand up with people in solidarity. You know, so
right.
To watch the video, I couldn't watch the video with George Floyd. I watched like 5 seconds, but I had to cut it off immediately to the point where I couldn't sleep that night. You know, first thing that really set me off was the Arbery video. I saw it to its full extent. That brought a different frame of mind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I appreciate you for sharing, and looks like we have 1:30 left on this live, because I think the lives do max out at an hour. I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes, but there's so much to be said. Let's do this. Theo, you moved from Southern Oregon. In about 30 seconds, can you share the amount of like your experience, you know, and how, you know, you may have experienced, you know, racism over there?
Oregon, the highest point of it, I actually saw a KKK camp. I did this one show on 420 in 2018. We got bust in Williams, and while trying to find our way out, we saw the burning cross, we saw the candles lit. To get out of there, I'm a legal citizen, so I have my legal firearm on me. The first time, like, I had to take it out and put it on my lap to drive because I was shut. I was like, you know, like, seeing that was a Bad Boys movie cut, you know? Like, you wouldn't expect 2000 or now that you will be having to fear these things, you know? We thought those were things of the past, but Southern Oregon, it's definitely there, but under the table, you know? So as a Black man, I had to be aware of my surroundings, aware of people around me, aware of the way I speak, the way I dress,